everybody, I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video today with my list of DNF books, the books I did not finish that I've marked on Goodreads. There's a list on Goodreads with all of these on there as well if you're interested. It is always linked in my videos in the description bar. So let's get into it. The first book I ever marked DNF on Goodreads was City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare in 2011. I honestly thought I'd gotten a little further in the series than that, but City of Ashes is the second book in this series, and this one I just got bored. With most of these, I just got bored and I didn't feel like continuing on, so I just stopped reading it, which I think you should definitely do. If you are not feeling it and you don't want to read it and it's making you not want to read, if you're reading a certain book and it's making you not want to read at all, definitely move on. Even if you plan on coming back to it later, definitely set it down, move on to something that is interesting you and that is interesting to you in that moment, and that will keep your reading going and won't put you in a reading slump. Best advice. The second out of 10 total DNF books I marked on Goodreads was the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. This was in 2012. Actually, most of these, 7 out of the 10 of these are in 2012. I guess 2012 was my year of not finishing books. But yeah, the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis was the second one I marked. And that one, I really like C.S. Lewis as an author. Granted, I've only ever read the Chronicles of Narnia series by him, his children's series. But I liked his writing in that series. The Screwtape Letters, however, I didn't have any problem with the story or the writing or anything, but just the vocabulary was so over my head. I had no idea what was really being talked about, which was sad because I'd heard a lot of good things about that book and I really wanted to read it, and then I tried reading it and I just couldn't get through it. It was over my head, so that's why I put that one down. Really bummed, but what are you gonna do? The third book I marked as DNF in the year 2012 was The Life of Pi by Jan Martel. I know, this is like a highly acclaimed, very popular, famous book, and there's a movie and everything, but I just thought it was the most boring book. I did not want to read it, so I didn't. I put it down, and I'm not planning on going back to it at all, ever. The fourth book I've ever marked as did not finish in Goodreads was The Tricksters Choice by Tamara Pierce. This was the first, Goodreads listed this as the first book in the Daughter of the Lioness series. This is another, I just got bored, didn't care about the characters, didn't really know what was going on, didn't want to read it, so I put it down, not planning on picking it back up. The fifth book on that list is The Spellbook of Listen Taylor by Jacqueline Moriarty. This was also in 2012 that I marked this. I was really bummed when after I started reading this, because I really like Jacqueline Moriarty's A Year of Secret Assignments book. It is one of my all-time favorites. But this one was just written really oddly, and there wasn't a lot of character. It was just really weird. I don't know how to explain it, but it was weird, and I didn't jive with any of the characters or the story, what was happening. Like, it didn't really pull me in, so I just stopped reading it, and I was sad, but I'm not gonna read something if I don't like it. The sixth book, sad to say, I DNF'd was Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. This was in 2012 that I tried to read it as well, and maybe I'll come back to this book eventually because it is like a classic and it's just so massive, and the beginning is like all about the priest, and I couldn't get through that part. And I'm not the person that just can skim past boring parts and stuff. If I'm gonna read a book, I'm gonna read all of it in the order of the story. Oh, just the beginning of that book was so boring, so I couldn't do it. Maybe I'll get back to it someday, but as of right now, it's not something that I can slog through. get interested in reading. Next book I marked as DNF was a love story starring my dead best friend by Emily Horner. This was also in 2012, and this one I just didn't like the story. Plain didn't care, didn't like how the story was going, so I stopped reading it, put it down. The next one was a nonfiction, like, self-betterment type of book. It was something about 40 Days to a Joy-Filled Life or something by Tommy Newberry, and I just thought it was dumb. I think I got through like half of it maybe, and it was just like short little things to do day by day to make you a happier person or something, and I don't know, I thought it was cheesy and dumb and I didn't like it. That was also in 2012. I put that one down, stopped reading it, gave up on it. Now we move into 2013, where I only DNF'd one book, and that was mostly because I couldn't finish it by the time it was due back to the library. I didn't get very far in it either. It was Shadows by Robin McKinley. If you've seen some of my other videos, Beauty by Robin McKinley is another one of my favorite books of all time. And Shadows is like one of her newest releases in the last few years. Sort of like a fantasy thriller sort of a thing, I think, with vampires or something. And it was due back to the library. I'd barely started it, so I just took it back, and it didn't intrigue me enough to want to check it out again, I guess. So that was in 2013, and I haven't picked it up again since. And then we have a nice break after those 9 ones where I didn't DNF any last year in 2014, which I'm pretty happy about. I finished all the books that I started, and I don't think I hated any of them too badly, or I wouldn't have finished them, I hope. So the very last and most recent book that I DNF'd on Goodreads and in my reading in general was Sandman, a graphic novel, the Sandman graphic novel, Volume 1 by Neil Gaiman. And this was just last month, I think. There was nothing really wrong with the writing or anything. It was just too dark for me. That was just a personal choice. I didn't even finish the first volume. That was why it's DNF. I probably got, I don't know, maybe halfway through the volume and decided I didn't want to keep going down that path. It wasn't worth it to me. I don't really like really dark, creepy stories, and that's kind of where it was heading. I kind of hoped it would get better, especially since I've heard all the acclaim and a lot of people really love that graphic novel, but it just wasn't for me, so it was a personal choice. More power to you, those of you who really enjoy that graphic novel, but it wasn't for me. So those are the 10 books on Goodreads that I have DNF'd thus far. Since I opened my Goodreads account in like 2011. If you have any questions or comments or concerns about any of these, definitely let me know below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!